I'm J.R. Church. Welcome to today's analysis of the news. Well, Mahmoud Abbas visited our president at the White House last week, and here's what WorldNet Daily has to say about it. President Obama and his administration told Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas during the meeting last week that the United States foresees the creation of a Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital. A top Palestinian official said, quote, the American administration was very friendly to the position of the Palestinian Authority. His name was Nimr Hamad, Abbas's senior political advisor, and he said, quote, Abu Mazen, that is Mahmoud Abbas, heard from Obama and his administration in a very categorical way that a Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital is in the American national and security interest. Another PA official, speaking on condition of anonymity, said Obama informed Abbas he would not let Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, quote, get in the way, end quote, of normalizing U.S. relations with the Arab and greater Muslim world. Quote, he says, we are told from this new administration that they will not allow a Netanyahu government to hurt their efforts of rehabilitating U.S. relations with the Arab and Islamic world. We need to be rehabilitated with them, interesting term, which he said is a high priority of Obama, the official said. Furthermore, in Cairo, Mahmoud Abbas met with Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak, where the Palestinian leader briefed Egypt's president on his recent trip to Washington, saying that the U.S. was committed to bringing about an end to Israeli construction in the West Bank. Last week, the State Department refuted a speech in which Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, said that Jerusalem will never be divided. Netanyahu said, quote, Jerusalem is Israel's capital. Jerusalem was always ours and will always be ours. It will never again be partitioned and divided, end of quote. Good for you, Benjamin Netanyahu. Well, in response, the State Department released a statement that Jerusalem, quote, is a final status issue. They said Israel and the Palestinians have agreed to resolve its status during negotiations. We will support their efforts to reach agreements on all final status issues. Also last week, a top Palestinian official said that the Obama administration told the Palestinian Authority that Jerusalem will never be united under Israeli sovereignty. This is a quote. Americans said an open Jerusalem, yes, but a united Jerusalem under Israeli sovereignty, no. Fascinating, huh? Here's from Ynet News. The U.S. President, and by the way, this is by way of the London Sunday Times, U.S. President Barack Obama has given himself 2 years for a diplomatic breakthrough on a two-state solution for Israel and the Palestinians. According to the report, during his scheduled speech in Cairo this week, Obama will offer his personal commitment to, quote, change the conversation, end of quote, with the Muslim world. Obama's Mideast tour will begin with a meeting with King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia in Riyadh on Wednesday to discuss the Arab Peace Initiative and relations with Iran before he arrives in Egypt the next day. The London Times quoted White House advisors as saying that Obama would, quote, take on the tough issues, including the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and to offer to bridge differences with the Muslims based on, quote, mutual interests and mutual respect. The same words he used in his address to the Turkish parliament last month. The report said that the goal of the two states living side by side with the holy sites in Jerusalem under international jurisdiction is to receive a new push by Obama. Some of the things that you hear in the speech are returning to proven and effective policies and initiatives that have served the national interest well in the past, said Dennis McDonough, Obama's foreign policy advisor. He was quoted as saying that on Friday, last Friday, Obama met with the in the White House with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and reiterated his demand that Israel freeze all settlement construction. He called on both the Palestinians and Israelis to take trust-building measures in an effort to jumpstart the peace process. Upon his return to the Middle East, Abbas said that he was making strong diplomatic efforts to renew the dialogue between the Palestinian Authority and Israel. And speaking at a Cairo press conference Saturday after meeting with Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak, Abbas said that the problem now was that the Israeli side has not yet formed a policy regarding the renewal of talks. And he said, quote, "We were told that it would happen soon. This will happen within weeks, which means that by early July, something should happen on this front." Well, here's another article from CNN which says Israel started its biggest emergency drill in the nation's history this Sunday. That was yesterday, on Sunday, to prepare civilians, soldiers, and rescue crews for the possibility of war. The 5-day drill, nicknamed Turning Point 3, comes amid the nation's rising tensions with Iran. It will be conducted in public facilities, including schools, military bases, and government offices. Students, soldiers, and other civilians will practice how to gather at protected places during an emergency. Officials said the drill will include simulated rockets, air raids, and other attacks on infrastructure and essential facilities, and the use of weapons on civilians. Everyone is expected to go to a protected place at the sound of the sirens, according to the Defense Force. And they said, adding that more instructions will be broadcast on a public channel. They said it is of great importance that every civilian institute and workplace will seriously practice in order to improve our preparedness and national resilience. The move comes amid tension between Israel and Tehran. The Israeli government considers Iran's nuclear program as the dominant threat facing the country. Israel is publicly supportive of President Barack Obama's administration's outreach to the Islamic State. The Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak told the Israeli Army radio last week that he believes that the chance for the dialogue has of stopping Iran's nuclear efforts is very low. You know, that sounds kind of strange. CNN would say that the Israeli government considers Iran's nuclear program as a dominant threat and is publicly supportive of President Barack Obama's administration outreach to the Islamic State, and then turns around and says that they think this dialogue is going to be worthless, basically. Says efforts is very low. Chance for the dialogue of stopping Iran's nuclear efforts is very low. Goes on to say an Israeli poll released this month found that 74% believe that the U.S. policy of engagement with Iran will fail, and 81% think that Iran will develop a nuclear weapon capability. Israel has conducted emergency drills in the past 2 years, but officials says this is the biggest one so far. Well, the Middle East is a cauldron, and the enemy is stirring the pot. War seems to be inevitable. Another war, maybe a big one, in the Middle East. We don't know exactly how it's all going to come down, but we are watching because the Bible says that something like that will happen to trigger the events of the tribulation period. A war between Iran and Israel is the theme of Ezekiel chapter 38, the battle of Gog and Magog. Well, today's the day after Pentecost, and we're still here. Wonder whatever happened to all those predictions that the rapture could come on Pentecost. Oh, by the way, the rapture could come on Pentecost. It just didn't happen yesterday. I'm a little saddened that it didn't. I'd like to hurry up and get on home to heaven, you know, alive, of course. I'd like to stay alive until the rapture. What an exhilarating moment or split second that will be when all of a sudden, and we step on streets of gold through gates of pearl. Are you ready for that? It'll come one of these days. We do not know when. But I can tell you that it's not going to be 250 years off. not going to be 50 years off. I think it'll happen soon. The world surely is moving quickly in the direction of the tribulation period, the rise of the Antichrist, and one world government, a new world monetary system. Those things are already on the drawing board. So, Lord, come on. Let's get it on. That's my prayer. I'm J.R. Church. We'll see you again tomorrow with our analysis of the news.